The third tab is concurrency, and the transaction log path specifies the location of the temporary files used for a workstation's transactions. The default setting is a transact directory residing in the default OpenInsight directory, and the commit log path specifies the location of the commit log. Consistency lock type enables the default consistency level of locking used by the workstation during transaction processing to be set. None disables implicit locking. In order to lock records and tables, you will have to lock them explicitly using basic plus commands. Update provides exclusive locks during the updating of tables or records. The lock is held for the duration of the update operation. However, no locking takes place during the queries. Selecting the transaction option sets exclusive locks during updates for the duration of each transaction. When the transaction is committed or rolled back, the locks are released, and again, no locking is done for queries. It's therefore the query option that provides exclusive locks during updates for the duration of each transaction, as well as setting shared locks during queries for the duration of each query. SQL lock type specifies the type of locking that should occur during the transaction. When a deadlock situation is detected, one of the conflicting transactions must be rolled back, and this option allows for the rollback of the youngest or most recent transaction or the least active transaction. You can set that using the radio buttons. And then we have a number of ungrouped options here. The first is unlock all at commit, which enables the release of locks at commit. Coordinated locking enables table and row locks to be coordinated, and auto transaction start enables transactions to begin automatically. Commit protection enables you to set control queuing for data integrity, and minimum locks enables you to limit the number of locks held by the workstation using this control. The default setting of 0 disables the lock limit. Transaction fail timeout enables you to define the number of seconds before the transaction times out on a wait situation, and deadlock enables you to define the number of seconds before deadlock checking is begun and locks are processed. And deadlock check defines the number of seconds for checking deadlocks after the deadlock process has been started. The next couple of tabs is all to do with the report security for tables and columns. So if we look at the tables one first of all, I have a list of tables that I can exclude from reports and queries. So if I was to check my MP patient table here and move that across, that now means that users won't be able to see that when they're producing reports within OpenInsight queries and the like. Now obviously I'm going to want to report on that later on, so I'll remove that, but that's a really nice way of keeping any sensitive information in one table and then ensuring that people can't print out the data and use it in different ways like that. The report security columns is very similar, except now we have to select a table, and we then are presented with a number of fields that we can exclude. So for instance, I might not want the hospital number, and I might have some sensitive comments, so we might want to exclude those. This means that when people are in the report builder now and they open up the MP patient, they'll be able to report on these columns, but the comments and the hospital number won't appear in the report. They won't be able to report against them. And then the list all columns with security, if we check that, then that just tells us that within this particular table those columns have been removed. Now I don't want to exclude those, so I'm going to shift and select those two and move them over. The last tab is the Window Forms Settings tab, and as we've been working within the Forms Designer for the last few lessons, this is the one that's of the most interest to us at the present time, and the reason why I'm looking at the Database Manager at this time. There are two main sections to this tab. We've got the window color settings and the edit table focus cell settings. Both of these are important to the way that our form looks, and they can provide an immediate facelift to our whole application. In the case of the edit table setting, it can also make using the control much easier for our users. Now before I change anything in here, what I want to do is just come out of the Database Manager and go into the Forms Designer for the moment, and we'll open up our patient entry window that we've been working on. And if I just test run that, you'll notice that we've got a plain grey background. The edit tables are just plain, and as I move around you just get a blue line. So if we just come out of there for the moment, come down to the third tab, the last page, and we can just get rid of this now. And what I'm going to do is drop an edit table onto the form here, make it fairly big. We'll just go into the form, into the edit tables properties, and we'll just insert a few columns. Okay, that, and you'll see why in a moment. It doesn't matter how big and sized it is, so we'll just file and we'll save that. And if we then come out of the forms designer, and we'll go back into the database manager, into the environment settings, to our last tab. Now at the moment we're not using any window color, so what I can do is I can click the arrow to set that on, and then it gives me a couple of colors here. What I'll do is I'm just going to go in and pick a different color, and if we click OK and we just go back and we test run that form again, you'll now see that we've got this quite nice little color on here where we're going from the blue to the white, and we can pick whatever color that we want for that. So let's just come out of there, minimize that one, and we'll go back to the database manager, go back into the environment settings, and this time we'll enable the focus cell settings. And this is all to do with edit tables, and we can set the fonts and the different colors. So the first thing I want to do is I've actually changed from the default to Heimat, so I want to change that back to the Verdana font that we've been using. So if I just scroll to where Verdana is, there we go, and we're working with 8 regular, so I'm happy with that, so we'll OK. And then I can go in, I can change the foreground color, background color. So the foreground color is going to be black because that's our text, and we'll leave the background color as being white for the moment. And if I click on white, then it will actually put the code in for white for me. And then for our selected cell, again we'll keep black for the text, but on the background we'll change that to a yellow. And then the rectangle style, weight and color is to do with the border around the particular cell. So the style I'll set solid, and the rectangle weight will set to medium, and so that the user can see very clearly where they are, we'll set that to bright red. So we'll OK that. So then if we OK those settings and we go back into our forms designer and we now test run that form, and if I go to the consultations, when we're moving around in the edit table, you can see now that as well as having the line highlighted in blue here, the actual cell that we're working on is now yellow with a nice red border, and I can very quickly and easily see where I am within this edit table. So that's a lot nicer than just having the old way. And if somebody is, their eyesight isn't particularly great, then just trying to see the dotted line around the cell isn't overly easy. This is much nicer. Right, we've covered quite a lot in this lesson, been through all of the different options within the database manager. Some of them we glossed over, some of them we'll need to leave for the formal training, and others we looked at in a little bit more detail. Quite a long lesson, so I think that's it for today, and I'll see you again for the next lesson very soon. Take care, bye bye.